Hi, and welcome to Lesson 2. In this lesson, we're going to talk about line and mass, which is a key point of Ikebana, and also just review the basic steps that you learned in the first lesson. So we're not going to go too fast here, but hopefully each lesson we can grow on the last one. So for your line material, that will be your main stems, your main 3 stems, you could use something like cattails, or maybe a kiwi vine if you could get it, or wisteria vine, or often florists have curly willow. So just something that would have a good line to catch the eye. So I'm using just some tree branches here that I've prepared a little bit by stripping off the leaves. And let me show you what I've done. See, here's the raw material right off the tree, timber, and what I do is take off a lot of the leaves on the branches so you see the branch itself. Let me do one more here. So see how now you have a line and then some mass here. So whatever material you have, you'll need to focus on the line. And some material might not have leaves on it, so you're all set and you have a line. But if it's a branch, you might have to trim it a bit. So, oops. Sorry, my main stem took a dive here. So if you'll remember for the first lesson, for the length of your main stem number 1, you would do it 1, 2, so twice the width of your container or bowl. And with branches, you don't need to cut them underwater. They don't draw water as quickly as flowers, so it's okay to cut branches in air. You shouldn't leave them out too long, but it's okay to cut them. And then if it's a thicker branch, put a few little divots in it with your scissors so it'll go into the pin frog more easily. So you're just cutting a few little strips into it so it will insert. And again, look at the shape of your branch. And this one has a nice curve this way. Again, you wouldn't want it to be facing down, so this one looks good this way for the main stem. And insert it by, this is where it comes in handy to stand because you'll have more strength. So push it straight down into the pin frog and then bend it because you don't want something going straight up vertical. So bend it a little bit forward and to one side. There you go. And here's the second stem. I've already measured it out, about 2/3 the length of the first stem. And again, we're going to go kind of for the hugging look of the 2 branches going toward each other. So, oops, put some little divots in this one. Put it straight in, really hard till it crunches, and then bend it to where you want it. And you can do a little trimming after the fact because now these branches are touching, so you might want to clean up the line a little. And then the third stem is 2/3 the length of the second stem. Take a few more leaves off. Cut it. Divot. And the third stem could go on the side of the first stem or the second stem. It's a bit of a matter of what material you have and what looks good. So here we'll put it with the second stem. Oops. Timber again. Let me fix this. This happens to the best of us. Branches can be hard to work with. Oh, there, that really went in. Okay, so then we'll put the third stem, again straight down, and bend it to the angle that you like. Okay, and now we'll put in our flowers. We're using sunflowers, which can be a little bit hard to use because they've got such thick stems, but this is a good way to show you a flower facing up. I mentioned that in the first lesson, that you don't want your flowers to face down, so this would be facing up toward the sun, which is what sunflowers do. And also, you don't want a sunflower or any flower to just face straight at the viewer. You'd like a little bit of an angle, makes it more elegant. So we'll do our main focal point. facing up. Okay. And sometimes you have to take some leaves off once you get something in so they don't touch the water or touch other materials too much. So here's step 1 of the focal points. Step 2 will be a little taller, and again facing up and not right at the viewer. And then step 3, I think I'll put in back because we want to have some depth, so you don't have to see each flower in its entirety. And again, it should be either a little longer or a little shorter than the second stem. Okay, now we're ready to put in the filler. And we've got some status for this. So the thing about filler is we're covering up the pin frog or the kenzan so we don't see it, and also just adding some color and some interest to it and some depth. And with your filler, if you're used to Western flower arrangements, a lot of times things are all the same length, but you want to go in and out and have long and short. So. And another thing you want to do with filler is have some in the front to not only help cover up the pin frog, but it's good if a little of it goes over the lip of your container so you're not seeing the straight line of the lip. So, and a little bit shorter here, cut it underwater. And maybe have a longer one in back. Oops, too long. And one more on the side. Okay, there you go. So again, you have the long, medium, and short stem, your 3 focal point flowers, and filler. So I have fun with this one. Thanks. Okay, here's a little postscript to lesson 2. I went around front and looked at the arrangement and tweaked it a little bit. Sometimes you can't see everything from the back, which won't affect you because you'll be doing it from the front. But let me tell you what I did to improve it a little bit. I added a little more filler, and again notice that there's some long and some short filler, and it's not just a symmetrical ball. And I also trimmed one of the branches that was back here because it was just too much leaves and not enough line. So again, I'll probably trim this guy because he's a little bit in the way. So again, we're looking for the shape of the line, which is clear and clean, and you may have to take off leaves if you have a branch. And then the flowers and the filler are the mass. So there's a nice contrast between line and mass. And let's see, again, to review, some of the filler should go a little bit over the lip. That's easy to do with something like a leather fern that naturally curves. And just again with the line, it's good to have, my sensei calls it space to breathe. So you have the mass here, and then you get a little relief here, and think of the empty space as also part of the composition. Your eye is looking at this shape as well as the shape of the line. And I think that's all we have for today. Thanks.